Hi, and welcome to Change Your Mind with Flora. My name is Flora, and I am so excited to have you here for today's podcast episode. We are going to be talking about the thermostat method. Now, what this is, we'll get to that in a second. We're going to start with the question, why is consistency so hard for some of us? We've been talking about passion-based living on the website for a while now, and about following your fire, and for some of us, this is the only way we want to live. Creatives, I am looking at you. While this ensures a life of inspiration, joy, and wholehearted dedication, there are some potential downsides. One is burnout. If everything you do is driven by fire, you might get into a cycle of working much harder than is healthy for you, and then eventually burning out. This is a cycle that is all too familiar for me, and I'm guessing for some of you too. Two is feeling uninspired, bored, or unmotivated. When the initial excitement fades, you might get bored and struggle to motivate yourself to do the routine tasks that you need to do to succeed in the long run. To be completely honest with you, when I was writing this original article, it took me so much longer than expected because I wasn't following my own advice. I tried to write this Leo style, full of fire and in one sitting. And instead, I just needed to take a thermostat approach. I just needed to take my own medicine. So I sat down, did the fire moon meditation that I will link down below, and I reconnected to my steady flame. And then I wrote slowly but steadily until I could bring my own medicine to you. Which brings us to passion and the thermostat theory. It can be challenging to stay consistent when the end goal is far away. Often we forget that every step towards a big goal is an achievement in and of itself, and we get bored. We stop showing up, and then we don't achieve our goals. A seemingly unrelated question for you. How often do you think about your thermostat and what it does for you? If you're anything like me, the answer is probably never, right? Why is this related? Well, even though it seems quite stable, the thermostat takes constant adjusting to keep your space at the same temperature. We never quite think about this until it malfunctions and it gets really cold or really hot. In the same way, a lot of us never really think about passion and inspiration until we get overheated or burnt out, or when we get uninspired, which we would call cold. But it takes a consistent effort to keep our flame on a healthy level. For those of us who are primarily driven by inspiration, it is very difficult to follow the traditional advice. You know what people say, right? Just make a planning, schedule it in, make sure you do your chores. And for us, it just doesn't feel good. So what do we do about it? And this is where we get to the thermostat method. The key point of this entire podcast is this. We need to find a way to make the small steps feel inspiring too. For this, I have 5 tips that I use a lot to connect to my own passion and to make sure I stay inspired. 1, connect to your dreams on a daily basis. As often as you need to, take some time to check in with your fire. For this, I like creating what I call a living mood board. Especially for those of us with so-called fast brains, a normal mood board doesn't always work. If we've seen it too many times, our brains simply stop registering it as new and it loses its impact. Instead, try to find something you can change whenever you need to. Create a digital photo album, a Pinterest board, a We Hearted selection, a list of things that inspire you. Make it come alive. When it loses its juice, let it go and create something new. And don't feel guilty about this. The whole point about your mood board or your inspiration station is that it inspires you. So if it stops doing that, just get rid of it. And that's how we get to step 2. Make it feel good first. Give yourself a little bit of time to get excited about the day ahead. Some things that I like to do are writing down 2 to 4 things I can do to make today really awesome. I use my inspiration station or my living mood board. I like to journal about previous joys and successes if I'm really unmotivated or stuck. I love to get on my yoga mat first thing in the morning to connect to myself because I know that that is my best way to show up for you. If you want, you can create a morning routine you look forward to. Maybe you want to dress like the person you want to be, pitch your idea and work to a friend. This often reminds me of how much I love my work. Maybe make your space nice and comfortable. And last but not least, one of my favorite things is the fire moon meditation I wrote for the Leo full moon in August. And I will link that down below because this has helped me a lot to get back on track if I get unmotivated. Number 3, acknowledge the significance of your habits. This is a big one for me. As we talked about before, it can be difficult to see the impact of your small habits in the short term. To stay motivated, it is important to remember the significance of these actions. Every small thing you do has an immediate impact. It keeps your fire on. You are adjusting your inner thermostat, adding a new log to your fire, and making sure you keep going. As we all know, you shouldn't dump a stack of wood on a small flame, nor should you walk away and stop feeding the fire once it's on. In the same way, our dreams require constant tending to. It is your job to keep your fire alive, and every small habit is doing just that. Your daily efforts are so important, even if you don't see it yet. Step 4, celebrate small wins and effort. Even if you acknowledge how important your habits are, you might still struggle with the delayed gratification of a big goal. Remember to celebrate the small wins, all of them. Sent the email, made the phone call, wrote the article, started writing the article, made it to your desk, reconnected to your inspiration. All of these things are important, and you are awesome for doing them. I like to let my level of celebration be guided by the effort it took me, not by the general difficulty of the task. I built a website in a day and I had a great time? Cool, that's a celebration in and of itself. I made a phone call that I've been dreading for weeks? Let's celebrate. Find something that works for you. Which brings us to number 5, the final tip from me to you. Let yourself be guided by the moment. Last but not least, we are beautifully inconsistent creatures. Don't feel like you need to show up in the same way every day. Some days showing up will be creating or connecting the dots. Other days it will be marketing or communicating. Maybe today you just need to take some time to reconnect to the things that make you happy and be reminded of why you do what you do. Allow yourself to be guided by your own rhythms. It will help you be more consistent in the long run and more productive in the moment. Whatever you do, just keep feeding the fire. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope to talk to you soon, and as always, don't be afraid to change your mind.